All right, guys. So today I just want to tell a little story because I think it's really comparable. It's like a microcosm. It's like a microcosm of a lot of stuff going on now when it comes to boomers and immigrants and things like that. Uh, Specifically Indians in this case, but I guess it could apply to any of them really if you thought about it. But anyway, so basically, this is a real story, by the way. So basically, one day my family goes out to go fishing 'cause Dad wants to go fishing. We all go fishing, right? And we get there, and me and my brother, we already know how to fish, so we're fine on our own. This was a long time ago, like a few years ago, by the way. So me and my brother, we're fishing just fine, but my little sister, she's very new to it. She doesn't really get it. So, dad goes along, he gets a rod and he starts teaching her how to fish. It's her first time. And after a while, she's trying to learn, she's trying her best, but she's not too good at it. So, dad having his bad temper, he gets mad at her and he decides to stop teaching her. He starts accusing her of not really wanting to learn, and she's saying she wants to learn, but she just doesn't get it. So she's just kind of left there sad, and me and my brother, we try to, keep her happy. She's a lot younger than us, so we try to keep her happy and everything. And so Dad just goes on to fish by himself, angry at the rest of us for no real reason. It's not like we're being antagonistic to him or anything, but anyway. So after a while, oh, by the way, when we get there, this is important. I should have mentioned it at first, but there's this sign and it was a sign about fishing. It was a sign, it was warning you not to take certain kinds of fish and to not take fish under a certain length. To take no fish that were babies because the population was low and the fish in there were endangered of dying out within the lake. So, obviously they didn't want anyone taking home any babies or or certain species that were already close even aside from the babies. So, we're catching and releasing as we should. Our family is anyway. And basically, after a while, this other family comes in, this Indian family. This Indian family comes in, and they set up their little chairs and everything. They have fishing rods, but it doesn't seem like they have any worms. They also bring over a jug, like a milk jug. It's like they cut one of the top corners of the milk jugs, right, so that they can put stuff in it. So they set up their little area with their chairs and their fishing rods, but they don't have any worms for some reason. So they send their kid. Well, I don't know if they send their kids, but they didn't have a problem with their kids coming over to us. They're little kids that were like around my sister's age, or like, I don't know, 8 years old or 10 or something like that. Anyway, so they come over to us, and all they do is they immediately start going, worms, worms, please, worms, worms. And they stick their hands out and they're begging. They don't say hi or anything. They just come up right up to us and start begging. And I don't give them anything. I ignore them. And then they start pestering my sister because she's got like a bug net she brought. And they start picking up rocks. They start picking up rocks and clods of dirt. And they start like sticking their hands towards her with those rocks and dirt in their hands. They're like, trade, trade, trade. Like they don't actually know English. They just know enough to ask for stuff basically and to do rip off deals, I guess. And their parents are over there. They're not caring. They're not caring that their kids are going bothering someone else. And my sister, she's really shy and whatnot, so she doesn't really know what to do when these people come over to her and start asking her for what she has in exchange for like a literal rock, right? A literal rock they picked up right in front of her. So I tell them to go away, and then they just go to my parents. And my parents are boomers, so they got all that suicidal empathy. You know what I mean? They just, oh, they're just sweet little kids. Oh, why not? So they start asking them for like worms, worms, please, please, and my parents give them worms, and then they go over there and they start fishing a while. And then after a while, I see them take little fish, like little babies, like definitely under the length the sign said. And they were putting them in that jug I mentioned earlier with water. And they were just taking them. I'm like, Dad, why are you giving them worms? They're like taking the fish. The sign, that they're endangered over here. And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. No one's getting hurt. So my dad's just fine, just giving them worms for to destroy the environment with, essentially. You know, even though he did tell us he did tell us not to do anything. He told us, oh, you can't take fish there. Well, he told my sister, because me and my brother already knew, but my sister, she's little, she sees a fish and she's like, oh, can I keep it as a pet? But my dad's like, no, you can't do that, where it's important to not disturb the fish, not to take any. But these Indian kids, they take he gives them worms to do exactly that. So they're taking fish and they're putting them in their little jug. And then they come back for more worms, Again, they're like, worms, worms, please, 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 worms. And, my dad just gives them more worms. And on top of that, on top of just giving them worms, he goes over to them and he starts like teaching them how to fish better or something. He like gives them his rod. And because he's just upset with my sister for not learning fast enough, I guess, he just goes and he becomes a part of their family, I guess you could say. He just goes over to where they're fishing, their fishing spot, and he just starts fishing with them. So, he's just fishing with them the whole time. And, they're taking fish. He's just letting them do it. He doesn't care. Gives them more worms. So me and my brother really can't fish as much, even though we're not taking fish. We're just there for catch and release for a little fun. And yeah, so we stop the trip, and after the trip we go back home. Dad, takes his rod and everything, and nothing really happened. Nothing really happened after that, but it did stick with me for a while to see, the boomer mindset. That was probably one of my first experiences with the boomer mindset of like appreciating, of like preferring immigrants over your own kids, pretty much, right? And giving them this blatant pass at certain rules. Because, like I said before, he made sure to tell our sister and us, no, we can't take fish; they're too small. But not only did he not care that the Indians were doing it, he gave them supplies to do that with, even knowing that they were doing it. And I just think that's like, it's just a microcosm, it's an example of the wider world, right? Like the boomers and the old people of today who will just hire immigrants to essentially steal, right? Because they're doing things they're not supposed to do. They bring them over here for some indescribable reason. For some indescribable reason, they prefer them over helping their own kids. And, I think that's led to a lot of problems today. Especially the part about letting them pass rules. They look at them like they're kids. Even the ones that aren't kids, they look at them like they're kids. They think, oh, they're just so poor and impoverished. We can't bring the hammer down on them. They're so unfortunate. But that comes at the cost of the environment that your kids are in. You're letting these other people ruin the environment your kids are going to inherit. So yeah, it's always stuck with me. It's always got me a little bit mad to think about that. And then, that's probably when I really thought about the story, that's when it really clicked with me, the way the boomers interact with immigrants today. It just snapped. I mean, I always knew it before, but I feel like that story was just such a succinct way to demonstrate it. They come over, they only know how to beg. They don't even know English. They just know how to beg. And they come over here, they try to trade rocks and dirt for like a bug net that they want so that they can steal even more fish if they catch worms, I guess, or whatever. And yeah, that's those are my thoughts on it. That's about it. I don't know if any of you guys feel the same way about boomers. I don't know if you guys have had experiences similar to that, because I do hear a lot of foreigners are poaching fish. I hear a lot of them are taking way more fish than they should, baby fish, things like that. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Yeah, let me know if you guys feel any similar ways, have any similar stories, or just thought the story was interesting for some reason. I don't know. And that's about it. Goodbye.